Welcome to my messy kitchen. I wanted to show you how I made a castle. Okay, got another box here because I decided that my little castle needs a portico, an entryway. So I'm gonna cut this, and on the way from my colonoscopy appointment, I had the bright idea to take this tube and maybe do a concave, cut this off and cut it in half. I can show. Cut it in half and maybe do a concave entryway for a little portico, but I gotta make sure I get the dimensions correct on it because everything's in miniature. And I've already last night built this front here. Like I said, this is supposed to be like a self-contained little thing that I can set on a shelf. Okay, I'm still noodling over it, but I got my piece of cardboard tube cut in half, dropsies, and I've got this. It's 2.5 across and 3 inches long, and that looks to be about the right size of a portico. I'm still noodling over it though, but anyway, when you put the two together, that kind of looks about the right size. Like I said, I'm using the cardboard size to help me build my portico entryway. I hope I'm making myself clear, because like this is gonna be the concave thing, and then I'm gonna have keep my camera clear, but anyway, I'm gonna come out and frame all of this in from there out to here, and this on this side out. Had to take a little break, but I got a little cardboard beam going across here, and I'm still not sure that I've measured and measured, and it still seems like the right side over here is a little bit higher than the left side. And I know it looks all wonky, but see, that's what they make all that masking tape for. So I hope I can get it all figured out. Okay, It's looking pretty pitiful, but I've got the little thing with the insert framed in. There's a booger. And then this part right here, I will go in and use cereal box cardboard because it's thinner to do the top. But I've got it framed in. Thank goodness for this paper masking tape. And then, like I said, I will go in and use cereal box to finish up the top. And then I'll frame up another little, I'll frame up another little doohickey, that's a technical term, to do the top, make it all fancy. But then once I get it all completed, then you go over the whole thing with paper towels and tissue paper with the Mod Podge or water glue, whatever you have, and you harden it with that. And then I'll go in with some air dry clay and make the fancy exterior. I'm scabbing over the top of this with cereal box pieces, and I'll fill that in and make like a, I don't know if you call it a cornice or whatever, the little fancy top for this. But like I said, once you get it all completed, then you go over it all with the paper towels and the tissue paper mixed with glue, and it hardens it all up. And then you go over with your air dry clay to put your fixtures and fancy stuff all over the front of it. I've been thinking about the problem with the filling in the turrets here. And so I've come up with this. I'm a lazy artist. So I got a pill bottle, and that circle right there fits the inside of the turret. So I'll make circles to fit in there for these. But then I have this mold, and I thought that would be pretty to put on the center, on the inside. What do you think? I put these little pieces of cardboard inside, just little squares, to try to keep the circles from going down. And I've cut out 3 circles, which I hope to be able to press down in here. One done, and I have success. So this works. All 3 circles are in place. I made this archway here with a cereal box, and I'll get a corner piece of the cereal box or cracker box and do that. Cereal boxes and cracker boxes are excellent for doing corners, corner trim. So that's what I plan on putting on the edges here. But I have this little piece that I was wanting to do a fancy schmancy little thing at the top. So I put this little half circle piece, couple pieces of cardboard together to stick up there. And just remember, everything will get covered with tissue paper and it'll be harder. But anyway, that's my door frame so far. Took a piece from the corner of Honey Bunches of Oats, and I will put this on the corner right here. See how corner pieces, they just go right well. Put that with a little glue and cover all that up. Okay, I put the trim pieces on. May have to tape it a little bit, but the next step will be tearing up toilet paper. So I wanted you to see where I took the toilet paper and I rolled it up and put it in here like caulk. And I'm tearing up toilet paper and I'll just put it all over the castle to harden it up and make it all the edges smoother, etc., etc. The toilet paper is 2-ply, so you take the pieces apart like that, separate them. Let me show you another. Just keep going. That one already is coming apart. But anyway, you pull it apart like that. And then you just kind of cut the pieces down to, tear them down to more manageable pieces like that. Okay, that's good. So I've got the tissue paper all over the castle for right now. I'm just letting it dry. And the next step would be to go back and build up these walls so they won't be flimsy like this. Make little stones. And after I make the stones, then I'll go over with some, I think it's called joint compound, like you put in your walls. I just made this out of some cardboard from a cereal box. And I'll set that in there and put little rocks around it to make it look like a stone face entry door. So you'll have the alcove stepping in where you don't get rained on while you're waiting on somebody to answer the door. So if you see this little piece of cardboard here, right there on top of the framed door that I just did, that's to kind of put a little stuffing to where there's a cover in the gap. I said I gotta poke it down a little bit, but I'm gonna cover that with some rocks. And my dogs are fighting, and I got glue on my finger. So I've got the door insert in there. I put little flat, small rocks around it, and then I'll sculpt around the door frame at the top with rocks. So I'm using tacky glue, and I'm hoping this glue will hold. I have framed in the door. Something else that I have decided is that this is entirely too flimsy, so I've cut another piece of cardboard to slide in there like that and bolster this up, and that way I can make like a rock wall coming down. So I want it to be perfectly, and I just knocked a rock off. Anyway, I want to be perfectly clear what all I'm doing. So I had a piece of this Amazon box, the corrugated cardboard, and I had cut out a strip for the door. So I just took the pieces of the strip and laid it on the top of this where I put the two pieces of cardboard together to give it a ledge. All it is like I said, I took the two pieces apart, peeled them apart, have a little strip and put down this way. But anyway, I had some air dry clay, so I put that on the sides of the door, and then and this one's wanting to try to fold away. But anyway, I used tacky glue, Aleene's tacky glue, and that's what I've put this air dry clay on here. My granddaughter and I have been finding these rocks in my yard. I have lots of these little paper thin rocks, and it's nice because some of them will break to the size I need. But anyway, I've been applying rocks sporadically, and I'll go through and put some more. But I was coating around I'm faking the windows on my castle, so I'll put more rocks. And then I've cut cereal box cardboard for these, and I've got to do the same over here, because if you look at a lot of old castles, you'll see exposed bricking. So I'll continue that. I'm still thinking that on the top of my little turrets and on this thing, this is where soldiers or guards would stand and watch. But that's my thinking with the windows too, is you got windows on each side looking out, and then you've got windows looking out on all sides so they can see every direction, and the ones on the upper can see past the trees, hopefully. Also, I wanted to point out that I did a kind of a, supposed to look like bricks, kind of in a round entryway for the door. And I do realize that my door is slightly wonky, but that's okay. This is just for me. Well, I think I'm pretty much finished with my castle now. I restructured the end and opened up this part to look like a road going out. And I made some vines hanging down. I may tweak those a bit. Anyway, that's my castle.